Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is your host, Rich, here on behalf of Rich TV Live with our very special guest, Frank Candido, the chairman of Delta Resources. How you doing today, Frank?
Excellent, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's a interesting day in the markets. Obviously, the markets are kind of selling off today, but Delta Resources is up, and they had some really big news today. You guys are receiving a $250,000 payment from Yorkton Ventures. Let's talk about that news. What does that mean for Delta Resources?
Well, if you look at it in sort of universally, it just means that we've got more cash in the bank to deploy in drilling. So when we announced the Yorkton deal, we sold a property, a legacy property that we had for $1.7 million. And this is the second tranche payment. So we've received to date $350,000. And then in 3 months, the next tranche of 350 grand will be paid. And it's fantastic. It's non-dilutive, excellent way of adding to the chest to deploy in what we want to do, which is drilling. So if you add that to the recent money we closed, we're getting close to around $2 million that we can deploy in drilling over the next few months, which is really the plan.
So the company is going to be receiving these payments in tranches. And what exactly do you plan to do with the money? Is there a specific plan? I know you guys have a lot of drilling you guys are about to do. Is that what the resources are for right now? Or are you just putting in the company's treasury?
No. We're going to spend money on drilling. That's what we're here for. We're not here to keep money in the bank and collect interest. No, that's exactly what we're doing. In fact, we're getting geared up for that right now. And the Delta 2 property in Quebec is going to be the first target that and we have multiple targets, but it will be the first area that we will drill. So 100% the money goes to drilling. And one thing I want to add to that is I've mentioned this before in the past. One of the fantastic things about Quebec is that for every dollar of hard cash, which is the cash we have that we spend in the ground, we get back about 46 cents of that dollar to redeploy in more drilling. So you couldn't be in a better place than Quebec from that aspect in terms of bang for your buck. So, so really $2 million in our treasury is really a lot more money when you think about the money we'll get back from spending that money on drilling.
There was a talk about in the press release that you could receive up to another payment for royalties.
Right. That's what it means is that should they put that property into production, we have a net smelter royalty on that production, which we have a 2%, which is pretty standard. And they could buy back 1% of it for cash. The other 1%, they'd actually have to pay the royalty unless we negotiate it otherwise. But, that's always great to have because, it's basically an upside option on that property, which we get to keep. So, yeah, we're very happy about that. We're very happy with the deal in particular. We're happy with Yorkton. They've been a great partner, and we're certainly happy to get the cash to deploy where we want to deploy that cash.
That's great. Now, when does Delta Resources plan to begin drilling its Delta 1 property in Ontario and Delta 2 property, which you mentioned a little bit, in Quebec? And what property will Delta Resources be drilling first?
Great question. So we're going to drill Delta 2 first. That's what we've told everybody. In fact, we raised this capital based on drilling Delta 2, essentially. We have plans to drill Delta 1, but I'll get to that in a second. So Delta 2, we're drill ready. We've got, I think, 13 targets, 3 gold, 10 VMS that we've already outlined for drilling. So we've got a lot of targets, and we're very excited because, as I've also mentioned in the past, if we hit on one of those targets, we'll have very happy shareholders. If we hit on 2, we'll have extremely happy shareholders. If we hit on 3, I don't even want to discuss how happy. I mean, it just, so we've I think we're fairly bullish on what we've got ahead of us. So we should be announcing shortly the plan on drilling Delta 2. So stay tuned. I'm talking, possibly days, not months. So
Wow.
that we'll be announcing that. So that should be the next catalyst in terms of us. We're ready. We've got cash. We've got the targets. It's a matter of also getting a drill. One of the downsides of being in a bull market is that in a bull market, drills are busy, crews are busy, that sort of thing. But, we're fairly confident that we're at the top of the queue and that we're going to be able to get started fairly quickly here.
Now, recently, Delta Resources completed a financing of 1.5 million, of which saw the involvement of 4 institutional funds from the province of Quebec. What does this mean for investors in the company seeing Quebec institutional funds backing Delta Resources?
I think it's twofold. First of all, I just want to, apart from the institutional involvement, we raised hard cash only. And for those people that don't know the difference between flow through and hard cash, if you permit, I'll just take a second. Flow through essentially means that any money you spend, the tax incentives flow through to the shareholder. So the shareholder is not necessarily aligned with the company in terms of, the company's prospects. In other words, a lot of times people invest in flow through because they need tax relief on taxes that they're going to pay. So irrespective of what the company's doing or where it is and that sort of thing, they'll invest because they need that flow through. They need that tax relief. Hard dollars means that your shareholders are perfectly aligned with what you're doing. They know what you're doing, they like what you're doing, and they're bullish on what you're doing, and that's why they're investing the money. So I just want to be clear, we've raised to date only hard cash dollars, no flow through dollars. And I think that that's very important. Further to that, 4 institutions, as you said, participated in our financing. And what's important about that is they're typically much more sophisticated than your average investor. Although I think that we've got a lot of sophisticated investors, because our average ticket in that financing that we did was around $100,000. We didn't raise 5s and 10s of thousands of dollars. We raised, hundreds in tranches, basically, in general. So that suggests that our average investor is quite sophisticated. But the institutions you take for granted are more sophisticated, and they're in Quebec, so they know the terrain inside and out. So it's a vote of confidence on the quality of the property that we have in Quebec, but B, typically institutions such as those that invested in ours are much more patient in terms of how long they want to remain a shareholder. And so typically they will stay as an active shareholder for a long period of time, therefore not putting any pressure on the stock, in the near future. So I think that these are very important aspects to consider in terms of when someone's looking at Delta, in terms of where the money came from, the fact that it's hard cash, et cetera. These are very important things to consider, when you're looking at investing in a company. And I think that, we've checked all those boxes.
Now, you guys have also had some members that you've added, I believe, at least one member to your board. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the moves you guys have made?
Sure. Yeah, we had a 4-person board up until a month ago. We always had this vacant seat that we were looking to fill, and we took our time because we wanted to fill it with somebody of quality, and in fact, we also wanted to fill it by a woman. More and more companies should represent the public as much as possible, which means that you should have a diversified board, including men and women, and people of different ethnic backgrounds as well. And I think that we've done that by adding Sarah Paquette to our board. She's got worldwide experience. She's highly educated, speaks fluently multiple languages. Has worked for large companies in London, England, and more importantly, her family background, very successful family background, comes from the drilling industry, specifically to exploration. And so she understands the business that we're in. So she checks every single box in terms of what we were looking for, and we're delighted to have her on our board. I think she's an excellent addition to the board of directors of this company.
That's great. It's important when you're building a business that you have the right management in place. So you guys are obviously taking the steps in order to really grow your business. You guys are raising capital. You guys are receiving money from property that you guys have sold. You guys are building your board. You guys are, essentially doing everything right. And for a company that's currently, I think today around 37 cents, in my opinion, I still think there's a lot of upside here. Now, you guys actually, in a previous press release, had an image of gold grains that were recovered from the Delta One property. Can you tell us a little bit about the Delta One and what it means with a recent discovery of gold grains at Delta One?
For sure. And in fact, I invite everyone to go to our YouTube channel, and you'll see Andre Tessier actually just recorded a small video from the Delta One properties, actually in Thunder Bay, Ontario right now as we speak, because what we're doing there is we're doing a property-wide till survey, which is the next step. And that'll be the last step before we drill Ontario. So this gets back to your earlier question, when I had mentioned that we're going to be drilling Quebec first. We definitely have plans to drill Ontario, but we still have one missing step to do. And we're doing that step now. And that's why Andre's there now. He'll be there for the balance of the week. And then when we get those results, we'll plan out the drill campaign in Ontario. And what was significant about that press release is twofold. Pristine gold grains, it's not because they look pretty. It's simply because when they're in pristine condition, it means that they've traveled very little, right? So it tells you that those gold grains are coming somewhere very close to the source of the gold. So that's one thing you look for. And then the amount of gold grains, something excellent is 50. When you find 50 gold grains, that's an excellent result. We got results with over 400 gold grains.
Wow.
So that's
Incredible.
a tremendous result. So when you add the two together, the quantity and the quality, what it tells us is that we're very near the source of that gold. And that's what makes us excited about Delta One. So we have one last step. So because of those fantastic results, we're doing a property-wide till survey. So exactly what we had done there, except on a larger scale, covering a larger territory. And once we get those results, which we think we should, get in late November, let's say, maybe earlier, when we get that, then we'll, based on those results that we will share with the market, then we'll plan out our drill campaign in Ontario, which should happen sometime in the winter. So, we've got a lot of, we're very busy here, starting the drill Quebec imminently, and then followed by Ontario after that. I think that, we've got a lot of excitement ahead of us.
Now, gold has been on an epic run. Obviously, we saw it break its all-time high of 2000, and then it seems to get a little bit of resistance. It actually went to 2100, and then it got a little bit of resistance, and it seems to be like fighting around 1900 right now. Are you bullish on gold? Like, are we just entering this bull market for gold? I mean, I've talked to a lot of miners and they feel like this is just the beginning. Some people I've talked to thinks it's kind of like halfway through. Where do you think we are in this market for mining right now, for resources? Do you believe we're in the start? You think we're in the middle? You think we're in the end? What do you think?
We just we're in the first inning. If you want to use a baseball analogy, as far as I'm concerned, I'm old enough to have seen the last bull market in gold. In fact, I participated in it, and bull markets don't last 6 months; they last years.
Wow.
People give numbers, 7, 8, 9. Choose the number you want. We just started this bull market months ago. Listen, there's a lot of volatility in the general market as well. The US election is coming up within weeks. All of this volatility, the dollar is sort of swinging back and forth. Interest rates are at all-time lows. There's a lot of macroeconomic reasons why I believe gold will continue its run. And like I said, cycles don't last 6 months, they last years, and we're really at the beginning. What's more important to me than the actual price of gold, because let's face it, if you can't make money at $1,900 gold, then maybe you're in the wrong business. So, to me, 1900, 1950, 2000, it really doesn't matter, because what we think we've got, we're going to make plenty of money should we find what we think we're going to find at $1,900 or at $1,850. What's more important for me is the sentiment And when you've got a market where gold is climbing and people talk about gold and it's in the news and it's in the papers and it's all over the blogs, etc., it means that more people rush in to want to like participate in that market. So for me, sentiment is more important than the actual price of gold. And when sentiment is high, it just means that more eyeballs potentially are available to look at a company like Delta Resources and choose us as potentially one of the avenues that they'd like to participate in that market in. So I'm more interested in sentiment than I am in the daily fluctuations in the price of gold.
I totally agree with that. In 2017, it was as if no money was pouring into miners. And at the time, it was as if everyone was pouring money into cannabis. And now it's the complete opposite. There's no money going into cannabis. Cannabis is just self-destructed in Canada. And gold, I think I heard a statistic yesterday, like billions of dollars have been poured into gold recently in Canada, and Canadian miners. So are you noticing that? Is that what you mean by sentiment? Like you're starting to see institutions open up their pocketbooks and say, hey, yeah, we want to write these big checks. Is that what you mean by sentiment? Because that's what I'm hearing is more than ever now, there's a rush of large institutional investors and high net worth investors that are pouring their money in gold for probably the most in years. Would you agree with that?
100%. I mean, listen, the Warren Buffett story was obviously the big one, right? Yeah. When Warren Buffett took a chunk of
500 million of Barrick Gold.
Yeah, I mean, since when does anyone like Warren Buffett or anyone of large institutional fund invest in gold? They typically shy away from commodities, right? So from that point of view, obviously that was a big turnaround in terms of that, and I think more and more of that will happen as we go forward. So I'm not at all concerned about the macro environment for gold at all. I'm focused on what we're doing, and if we've got what we think we've got, our shareholders will be very happy. So I'm not at all concerned about daily fluctuations.
Well, our investors actually started buying it yesterday at 31.5. I was looking at it at the chart, and the 52-week low was 25 cents. 52-week high is 50 cents. And it was sitting at 31.5 cents. And I started telling our community, I was like, guys, we got to start looking at this. And then today, boom, you guys came out with news, $250,000, stock's up. So we're like, okay, this is good. A lot of our guys have started buying the stock and they're feeling good about it. And what can we anticipate as far as catalysts as investors, as far as what Delta Resource has coming down the pipe in the next few weeks, months, 3, 6, 12 months? Are there any big catalysts? I know we've talked a little bit about drilling that we can really kind of look forward to and we can count on as investors.
Well, you've heard the expression on with the show, this is it. Well, this is it. So listen, we've been very quick. Okay. If you think about it, we're October 2020. In October 2019, we didn't even have Delta 1 or Delta 2.
Wow.
Right? We didn't have those two properties. We acquired Delta 1 in October, September, October, around this time, give or take a week. And then we acquired Delta 2 shortly thereafter. And within that time, we've advanced the Quebec property to the point where we're ready to drill. We did all the work we had to do. Of course, we had pressure because people want you to drill immediately. That's what they want. But you've got to know what you're dealing with before you start drilling, because there's no point in drilling and failing, because that's not a great recipe for success. We're Absolutely. Ready. We did it the way we needed to do it, but we did it quickly and efficiently. And another thing is we raised capital at higher prices each time. So the shareholders that came in at 20 cents were very happy with the fact that the next shareholders came in at 35 cents. And at each level, the level of risk changes, obviously. So the guys at 20 cents or 35 cents may not have wanted to invest at 20 cents because of where we were at that stage. But the next stage, which is the catalyst that you're referring to, is in the next little bit here, we will announce our drill campaign on Delta 2 and outline that for our shareholders. We will also announce whether or not we have a drill, which is important because it's not that easy to get a drill. I'm very confident we will have a drill, and we will have that drill soon. But we will confirm that in a press release. And then we will have the till survey from Ontario to announce that will come right after that. And then, of course, we will have consistent news flow as we continue to drill, because we don't wait for all of the drilling to be done to put out news. We will put out news as it comes out. So we should have consistent news flow from now till March, April of next year on drill results out of Quebec, and then hopefully drill results out of Ontario as well. So we've got plenty of news, and those are the catalysts that will continue to drive this company forward and drive our share price higher and higher, hopefully.
Well, thank you so much, Frank, for your time today and breaking this all down. If there's anything you want shareholders to know about Delta Resources before we go, what would it be?
We've got 2 amazing properties. We've got an incredible team with Andre Tessier and Michel Chapdelaine, a technical team, an unbelievable technical team. We've got cash in the bank. We've got an amazing share structure. We've done, I believe, everything right up until now. We've done it all right. And so if we continue to execute the way we've executed strategically up until now, I think we're going to be in a very good state. And, the next time you and I are on this broadcast, I think, I'll have a bigger smile on my face than I already do. So I'm very, very excited about what's to come.
Yeah, me too. I'm super excited. I know our community as well. A lot of members are starting to get in and really pour into this pick. Congratulations on all your success so far. Congratulations on receiving your second tranche of funding for the property, actually a second tranche payment for the property that you've now sold. And congratulations on all your success. And hopefully it just continues. And anytime you guys have any big news, breaking news, love to invite you back on the show so we can talk to the community and let everyone know about it first. Frank Candido, the chairman of Delta Resources. Keep up all the great work, and we'll talk to you soon, Frank.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not winning, you're not watching. This is Rich from Rich TV Live with Frank Candido, the chairman of Delta Resources. Have a nice day.